This is Creating Your Encore Career and Becoming a Silver Entrepreneur with your host, Lynn Freest. Lynn will share ideas and expert advice from people that are walking in your shoes and living their encore careers, where they want and at the pace they want. You'll start a company of one with confidence and knowledge to live a fulfilled life of freedom and ease. Lynn is a coach and leadership consultant whose mission is to show senior leaders and experts how to start something refreshing and new after a full career in the corporate environment.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Creating Your Encore Life. Do the work you love, do it when you want, and do it where you want. Thanks for listening. With an Encore life, you can be creating value in this world beyond just winning that next pickleball game. You can do the work you love when you want, where you want, and you can live your dream just as I am. If you're ready to get started today, please contact me at lynn@lynnfreest.com. Today's episode is number 197, and it's the importance of friends in your Encore life. Some of this is common sense, but it's often something we miss or skip over. So we'll talk about several different arenas of this issue around social support, providing mental stimulation, giving you a sense of purpose, providing you with new experiences, improving your quality of life, and the professional advantages. So the importance of friendship just can't be overstated, especially for those of us who are over 55 and who are embarking on their encore lives. This is a new phase of life, and it comes after retirement or anyway, a change. And what we are seeking now maybe is personal fulfillment. We might be seeking social impact and, quite frankly, often continued income. But a big piece of this is building and maintaining friendships. And this can really help all these things move forward and really contribute to our health and well-being. So we're going to go deeper into some of these issues I mentioned earlier. And again, we'll just start with what's an encore life in case you haven't been listening, or as I've talked about it earlier, an encore career. It's simply that point in life where you're leaving the corporate world and you've decided to do something different. Now, you may be decided to be the greatest grandparent in the world. You may have decided to work in the nonprofit world, or you may have decided to at least spend some of your time doing the work you love from your corporate career. But all of this is a different thing, is that in your corporate life, you had a set of friends, your colleagues, and even in your social life, maybe your kids pulled together their parents and stuff. And so you knew people through your kids' thing. Now, all of a sudden, you may have lost some of those things, if not all of them. The friends who remain in corporate, the world, it's just different now between you and them. So it's one of those things where there's a general theme that you don't have to go with, that as you age, your social networks decrease. And some of that is simply because people are aging out. My mother's, who's 96, has said, really, all of her friends have passed on. But that's not to say she's not connecting with grandkids and other people and people within the church. So there's no reason that you have to have a huge decrease in your social network. It may change, and you may choose to associate with fewer people and maybe in a deeper way. But it's one of those things where often if you're not connected to people, that's a source of loneliness. It's isolation. Quite frankly, it even affects your health if you're not in some fashion connected to other people. The mental health is another piece. While you can do crossword puzzles or other things to keep your mental health sharp, quite frankly, talking with people and being with people is probably one of the most effective ways to do it. Also, then as we get into it, the social support applies to, you need friends if you're going to go out and do an encore career, or if you're going to do even in a nonprofit world. You're going to get to and need to meet a bunch of new people. In a sense, you'll establish a new social circle. Now, some of it, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's just really helpful to be with other entrepreneurs of a variety of ages, I would suggest too, so that you have a wide variety of viewpoints to confirm your goal to be an entrepreneur in this encore life. So again, the social support is really important. Now to go a little bit back into the mental stimulation, again, It's important for cognitive health. And quite frankly, the studies show it actually reduces the risk of dementia. And then again, I think it's just maintaining a mindset of being curious, or a growth mindset, as some of people said. If you're always learning, you're never going to be left behind. So just keep that in mind. Mental stimulation, keeping the mind active. Now, it can be that it's active in different ways. You could have a reflection process. You could do a variety of different things, but it's probably not useful to just binge watch Netflix or TV reruns. So I'd say that interaction with people is great for your mental health. Then there's the sense of purpose. Again, this is often something that people struggle with. Okay, my sense of purpose was defined by my corporate work or my raising a family or any number of things where that provided you with a purpose, a sense of focus, what it was that you got up in the morning. Whether or not you always enjoyed it, it got you up every morning. So it's one of those things that can slip away to some extent or can be a struggle. Quite frankly, there are ways that we can go to help you explore determining what your next sense of purpose is in your Encore life. But all of this, again, going back to the idea of friends, there's no better way to really talk through what you feel your purpose is than with a group of peers or other people who are, quite frankly, seeking their own. And then there's just the motivation. There's a reason for me to get up and do something every morning because I'm engaged in it. I believe in it. It makes all the difference in your life. Then we think of this idea of new experiences. There's always the potential for new experiences. They may come in different ways than you have in the past, but you think of that, not only the experiences, but new friendships. So as I think somewhere there was an ad once said, if you have an experience in front of you, take it. And I think that becomes true. Again, goes back to the idea of maintaining your curiosity, but it's trying something new. Again, I never knew 10 years ago that I'd be doing a podcast or that I'd be having an online business presence. Many of these things I couldn't have imagined, but I've grown going through them. And it hasn't always been a straight linear upwards process. This whole idea of being an entrepreneur, finding my purpose, doing what I want to do in my Encore life, often it has twists and turns and sidetracks and all those things. But again, as long as you're open to new experiences, I think that's fundamental for having a rich Encore life and potentially a rich Encore career. And then we get back to just the ideas of quality of life. All the studies show that people who are connected to other people, they have a better quality of life. They actually are healthier. There's a strong connection between friendships and happiness in life. And quite frankly, the whole thing just improves your physical health. So it's almost unbelievable how many years you can add on to your active and healthy life with a rich set of friendships, connections, people you know. So it's one of those things where it's not just the mind that's involved here, but it's also the body too. And then finally, we'll talk just briefly about professional advantages. Again, if you're going to start a career, and it could be whether a career for pay in whatever you did in your corporate life, or whether maybe you were trying to find the right thing to do in the nonprofit world, any of those places, it really helps to know who knows who. So it's not about just building skills, but it's knowing who knows about these opportunities. Often, whether it be a job or maybe a volunteer opportunity, it'll come from friends of friends. So to the extent that you've got a wider circle of friends and they have a wider circle of friends, that's how you'll often run into these things that you're looking for. The other thing that from a professional sense, and I've gotten this in the peer groups that I belong to as I try out different business ideas or how can I succeed at this type of coaching or whatever it may be, is they can give me feedback. So the fact that I've got a network, we've got colleagues, I get a lot of great feedback. And these, again, not all just the same age group, but a variety of age groups. Some of the most interesting comments I get are from people who are much younger than I am, but they have a different, unique perspective. So it's going to be interesting to see how expanding your network, expanding your circle of friends, creating new circles of friends, how that might help. Now, and finally, I'll just say here that before we end, none of this is static. You don't start out in the first day of retirement and say, I'm going to have this circle of friends. Quite frankly, you'll have different stages in your Encore life, and you may need different groups of people as part of it. You may start off saying, hey, I'm going to do some part-time work. It would be helpful to have one set of friends to do that. You may start off or later on say, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and really create something on my own. Even there, having a set of friends around that subject would help. And then finally, there may be a period of time where you're seeking wisdom, enlightenment, whatever it may be. You're just reflecting on the universe and how it's been good to you. Even there, having a circle of friends to talk through that, I think is always helpful. So just in conclusion, I would say making friends and fostering connections when you're 55 years old and plus is really going to create a great Encore life for you. And sometimes you have to truly be intentional because it's easy to let things slip away or just slide along. As somebody I just heard say, even a dead fish goes downstream if they're going with the flow. That's not what you want to be. You want to be the active one that's paddling along, as it were. So, one, by asking for support, for offering social support to others, it'll improve all these different aspects of your life, whether it be health, well-being, your sense of purpose, your success in pursuing the dreams that you have for your Encore life. I just encourage you to continue being intentional about having a great circle of friends and colleagues around you. Well, with that, I just want to close here and say, an Encore life, you can be creating value in the world, and it's beyond just winning that next pickleball game. You can do the work you love. You can do it when you want and where you want. And you can live the dream just as I am. If you're ready to get started today, please contact me at lynn@lynnfrias.com or head over to my website, lynnfrias.com, maybe sample a few podcasts and get on the email list. So we'll see you soon, and thanks for listening.